where veterans can come for a coffee chat, commentary, information, and everything in between. Thank you for joining me. I don't want to waste your time, so we're going to brew it up right after this commercial. Well, first things first, we are all out here, and I say this every week, we're all out here grinding. So we got to keep our heads on a swivel when it comes to information for our veterans and our family members. There are over 16 million veterans out there. And the truth is, none of us know everything. But as we get information and we share it collectively, that I think will help us take better care of ourselves and our families. So here's some information from the Sheroes Round Table that might help you. So are you familiar with TRICARE? Have you ever heard of TRICARE? Well, TRICARE is your typical healthcare program. It's just like your United Healthcare. It's like your Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's like your MetLife. But the difference is TRICARE services people in the military, retirees, and their family members all over the world. TRICARE is divided into three parts. You've got the East, you've got the West, and then you've got overseas. But here's what you may not know, because I didn't know it. Well, TRICARE, right now, you could be disenrolled out of it. You could be disenrolled right now as we speak and not even know it. It happened to me. I'm back re-enrolled, but yeah, it happened to me. And that's because your state may have switched to TRICARE West. So on the slide, we're going to pull up this slide. So if you live in any of these states, Wisconsin, Illinois, Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, or Oklahoma, this is what I want you to do. Make sure you check out your TRICARE plan. And make sure that you are enrolled in TRICARE West. They're giving you until February 28th to do that. So for those of you who are enrolled now from the state to TRICARE West, here are some specifics of information. So the updates are HealthNet. It still manages TRICARE West. Make sure you use the provider network, because there's some updates. Otherwise, you will be paying out-of-pocket costs. They are still big on telehealth services, which is a virtual appointment. So you'll know that. So that's what the telehealth services is. Just so you know, that's the virtual appointments. And then make sure you also know about the pharmacy updates, because there are pharmacy updates. Make sure you're still considered in network, because that could also impact deliveries. And if you want to know more about it, you can go to tricare.mil. That's tricare.mil. They definitely can help you. Or I'm going to give this number out because I feel I have to give this number out. But you guys, I was on the phone with TRICARE. I never got on the phone. I was hanging on for over 2 hours. It was something crazy. And they do give a callback number. They can call you back. But the issue I had is for some reason, I never got that call. It like switched right into voicemail. But I will give you the number. So keep trying. So that number is 800-874-2273. That number is 800-874-2273. So that's it from the Shero resources table. I really hope that this can help you or your family. So we're going to move right along now. So to our next segment. Excuse me. Oh, hold on. I got to do something. That was the problem. Do you have your Shero coffee this morning? If you don't, go to sherocoffee.com. Look, all better, all better. So we're going to move right along into our next segment. Our government employees have been executive ordered back to work. So really, after a number of years of working remote, especially during the pandemic, the government, has been had people actually doing telework. So now things are changed under this executive order. So what we're going to do now is check out this video about government employees returning back to work.
Let's get back to those executive orders now, and executive actions too, signed by the president before that crowd.
One of the most important to our viewers had to do with the federal workforce. Let's listen.
Sir, the next item, as you announced in your speech, is a requirement that federal workers return to full-time in-person work immediately.
Affects a lot of people in our region. The News 4 I-Team's Tracy Wilkins joins us now in the studio to break down what's actually in that executive order and what it means to a lot of people here, Tracy.
Yeah, a lot of folks paying attention to this. We have more than 3 million federal workers nationwide. 15% of them work here in the D.C. region. It is our largest employer here in our region. So plenty of folks paying attention to this and waiting to see what President Trump would say about the return to the office for federal workers. Let's take a look at the executive order and what it is that it's saying exactly. Heads of all departments and agencies in the executive branch of government shall, as soon as practicable, take all necessary steps to terminate remote work agreements and require employees to return to work in person at the respective duty stations on a full-time basis, provided that the department and agency heads shall make exemptions they deem necessary. So there are a couple of important things that we need to break down here. First of all, remote workers, these are some folks who have never been in an office, who are now being told that they need to return to the office if their supervisors say that that's what is necessary. One of the largest unions representing federal workers is AFGE, and they told me that over 50%, some 54% of government workers never teleworked at all, and only 10% are fully remote. Those are the folks who I was just talking about, who some of them have never worked in their offices and have always worked from remote locations. They said 80% of all hours performed are done in person.
All right. Now, I want to just talk about some of the statistics. She said, so 54% of federal workers did not telework. So, I mean, that's a large number for the number of people that did, but it's still over half did not telework at all. There's only a small percentage that never actually have been in an office, and then 80% of the work was being done in the offices. So I look at it like this. There's two ways you can look at it. Now, going back to work, it's a chance for you to collaborate face to face. It's a chance for you to just build stronger bonds in at work. And then you can connect back with your work wife or your work husband. You know how they say people have work wives and work husbands. I mean, it also, but don't forget, we all work together. So it gets the city's economy, the economy of the city, it gets it back churning. You returning to work, and it really, to me, is helping the entire city you live in. And believe it or not, it's a good thing. But I get it. I get it. On the other hand, it can be nerve wracking. It can be nerve wracking because it probably feels like an immediate uproot. Well, you had to know. I know it had to be rumblings that we're going back to work. If President Trump gets in there, we're going back to work. So, but it probably feels, because it's different. It's a difference in hearing things and a difference in actually living it out or acting it out. So it probably would feel that you're being immediately uprooted, like they pulled a tooth. They didn't use Novocaine, they didn't use lidocaine or whatever cane they used to numb the pain. And so I understand that. And there are some gripes about, you have a loss in flexibility. you got to drive to work, so that's more commuting time, and then adjusting to office norms, because you got to go back to office norms. And then there's the additional financial responsibility of gas, transportation, lunch. And the one big cash burden is for those of you with children in daycare, and we already know how much daycare costs. That is a heavy cash burden. But returning to work, it doesn't have to be that bad. It doesn't. And here are some things I want you to focus on to try to make your transition smoother. The first is you got to reframe your mindset. You got to. You got to focus on the positives, like you still have a job. That's a good thing, especially if you want to work, right? Especially if you need or have to work. So you still have a job. You get to see your well, maybe not all, but some of your coworkers. You're excited about seeing them face to face, and you don't have to do coffee chats over Zoom like we're doing now. Mhm. So that's a good thing. And then the second thing. So that's one thing. And then the second thing you can do is just creating a new routine and accept it. No more business at the top, Netflix and chill at the bottom. You know how you have on the professional top and the pajama bottoms? No more of that. When you go back to the office, you are all in when it comes to dressing. So, hey, reward yourself. Buy you some new clothes. And then make sure that you are planning. You got to make sure you're planning your mornings and your evenings to help minimize stress, because it's already stressful going back to work. So you want to try to make sure you do everything you can to minimize stress. You want to just do things you already know. Prep your meals, pick out your outfits the night before, so, and then make sure you carve some time out for your workouts, your meditation and prayer, or whatever you do for self-care, because that is super, super important, especially over here at the Shiro Coffee Chat. But at the end of the day, it really is about finding what works best for you. Transitioning back to the office, it might not be easy for everyone, but with a few adjustments, a little planning, it may not be as bad as you think. And one thing we used to say is adjust, adapt, and overcome. So if you know, you know. And plus, being able to adjust, adapt, and overcome really is a superpower. But I want to know how you feel. If you're a government employee going back to work, let me know what you're thinking, what you're experiencing. Put a comment in the chat. I really would like to know what's going on in the minds of our government employees. And we're going to move right along to the tip of the week. So, although we've been talking about the California fires and things like that, don't forget, right now we are in winter. So winter weather can get you in a 5-car pileup really quick. And so I think it's best to, for this tip of the week, it's best to just have the things that you need and be prepared and don't get caught, because it's nothing like being in a traffic jam because of an accident and you're just stuck. You're literally just stuck. I remember when I was at the Pentagon, we had a big thing of snow come in, and people were just in traffic for hours. For hours. So don't forget, even though we are concerned and still praying for the fires in LA, we are still on a significant cold front in the east and in central region right here in the Midwest where I am. So I don't want you to be in your car dead of winter and not be prepared. So here's a list that I came up with of things that I wanted to share, just because I've experienced that. Because I've experienced that you might want to have in your car. One thing is a blanket. Make sure you have a blanket, because you never know when your heat might go out. I mean, I know some of you drive 2025s, but you never know. So make sure you have a blanket. Make sure you have some snacks in there. Make sure you have water, a flashlight, a first aid kit. Make sure you have the ice scraper, some sand or kitty litter. And so if you have the sand or the kitty litter, that's just in case your car gets stuck. You need jumper cables for sure. Maybe some flares or triangles if you really want to go that deep. And then a portable charger. You cannot forget about that portable charger that you're going to need. And then what else? I think that's about it. But I just want to hit on this to just tell you the importance of that it's wintertime and people are driving like it's summertime, and that could cause an accident, and that accident can keep you backed up in traffic. So these are the things that I think you might need. So hey, let's just really try to just be careful out there and do our best to be as safe as possible. And so now we're going to go into our next segment, our story of the day. This is a good one, you guys. We're talking about ICE raids over the entire nation. ICE raids over the entire nation. Now, this really caught my attention this week about these ICE raids. I'm gonna let us look at this video and then we'll talk about it. Let's check it out.
Migrants. Let's get out to News Nation's Alex Capriello, who is following this part of the story, joins us live here in Chicago. Alex, what else is Homan saying about raids in sanctuary cities?
Yeah, this was an exclusive opportunity between our very own Chris Cuomo and border czar Tom Homan. In it, he really was commending the hard work of immigrations and customs enforcement. He also shared some hard numbers with News Nation. Let's take a look at them together. In just those first few days of the Trump administration, Homan says that ICE agents have arrested more than 1,300 undocumented immigrants, which includes more than 1,000 criminals. The other 300 or so are what he calls collateral damage, which means illegal aliens who may not be public safety threats, but were arrested nonetheless by being in proximity to their operations in those immigrant neighborhoods. These targeted ICE operations have been happening all across the country, including in many sanctuary cities. Homan says he hopes those cities begin to see the progress they're making and allow ICE agents into county jails to arrest those violent criminals and those public safety threats. He says that would reduce the collateral damage by ensuring they focus their arrests on men and women who have broken U.S. laws. Take a listen.
They're not letting us in the county jail because of sanctuary laws. If we could arrest the bad guy in the safety and security of a jail, which is safer for the officers, safer for the aliens, safer for the community, then there'd be a lot less of those type, like you just said, low-level offenders. There'd be a lot less of them arrested. But when you force us in the community, we're going to find that guy sooner or later.
Here in Chicago, which of course is considered a sanctuary city, we have not seen those same types of mass deportations. That's not to say that they haven't happened in Illinois, but we just haven't seen them play out in that large scale. At the very same time, the mayor, Brandon Johnson, as well as the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, continue to say that they are going to reinforce that sanctuary city status, do whatever they can to protect undocumented immigrant families.
This is a lot, but one thing I forgot to tell you, I didn't tell you what ICE stands for. So ICE stands for Immigrations, Customs and Customs Enforcement, and really it's just another arm of the federal law to and they fall under the Department of Homeland Security, and they have the mission to protect the United States from crimes across the border and undocumented immigration that threaten the national security and public safety of its citizens. So that is a very important job. And now with this immigration thing, we can see the importance of what they do. And, you know, as I look at Tom Homan, who seems clearly more than capable of doing his job, whether you love him or hate him, you can't deny the fact that he is being consistent. He is doing everything he said he would do prior to going into that position. And President Trump has even extended his operational authority by executive orders. So now they can go into churches, they can go into schools. I think hospitals are still sacred, so that's a good thing. So they can do all of those things because the churches and the schools have always been off limits. So that's let that sink in. Let that sink in to show you the seriousness of what President Trump and his administration is trying to do. They're doing exactly what they said they would do. But let me get this straight. Across the nation, they rounded up, I don't like that word rounded up, but for lack of a better word, because it sounds like cattle, and people are not cattle. They rounded up 1,300 illegal immigrants, right? They arrested 1,300 illegal immigrants. And out of those 1,300, 1,000 turned out to be criminals. Out of 1,300, 1,000 turned out to be criminals. Let that sink in for a minute. 1,000 criminals. And, like I said, like them or not, it really makes me think back to when Trump was really talking about, when he talked about that these countries, they're not sending us their best or even their good, but they're emptying out their jails. They're sending us their criminals, and even at that time, I really looked at it like, oh, maybe he's just stirring the pot. These people are really seeking, asylum. They really want to be protected. That's what this is all about. But it really makes me think back to that time when you have a number of 1,300 and 1,000 turned out to be criminals. So he ain't wrong. He ain't wrong. And the sad part is we are not talking minor offenses, you guys. These are not minor offenses. This is some serious stuff because there was another raid and they uncovered, and I think this was in New York, and they uncovered pedos, gang members, and they even had someone who was a suspected terrorist. That is crazy. So these people are living in our communities and they have committed some heinous crimes back in their own country. They've done this back in their own country. And so why would we not want our borders closed? Think about it. Why wouldn't we want our borders closed? I know I don't mind what's happening right now because the people they're arresting criminals. They represent a real threat in the safety of our community. So here's the thing. This isn't just about politics anymore. It's really about public safety when you're out arresting gang members, human traffickers, predators. How do you ignore that? Sure, some folks might say, these raids disrupt our families and create fear. But at the same time, can we really afford to leave them to their own devices? Hey, immigration it's deep and it's complex, but you can't leave public safety. You can't leave public safety, the public safety of our citizens. You can't leave that out of the conversation. You have to keep it in. And the leadership, the presidency and his administration are doing what they feel is best to protect us. So what do you think? Are these ICE raids justified, or is there another way to do this? You tell me. I want to hear from you. Is there another way to do this, or are they justified? Even just yesterday, I was looking on the news. They did ICE ICE agents did try to come in And we're talking about sanctuary cities. ICE agents did try to come in and arrest some of the illegal immigrants at the schools, but they were protecting it. So you got some states that are going to stand 10 toes down on protecting their undocumented workers, and you're going to have some who are in cooperation. So I mean, it's a lot going on. So where do you stand? Where do you stand? Let me know. And my final bit of news is to congratulate Pete Hegseth on his confirmation as the U.S. Defense Secretary. This was a really controversial one because, I mean, he had a whole bunch of drama going on around him, but they were able to squeak it through and get out the vote to make him the United States Secretary of Defense. And all I got to say is, all eyes will be on him. You know that Tupac song, "All Eyes on Me." Yeah, that is the theme song for Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. All eyes will be on him, and we're going to be watching to see how he navigates this chapter and what kind of impact he's going to make. Now, there have been some negative things and this is just hearsay about women and things like that they are saying. But hey, we're here to stay. We're here to stay. We've got our role in the military too, but we will see, and all eyes will be watching him. And that's it. I just wanted to congratulate the new U.S. Secretary of Defense. And today is my anniversary. And so this show is pre-recorded. So I just wanted you to know that. And I just wanted to say thank you for watching. I appreciate that. I want to send a special shout out to Andre Hill. Shout out, Andre. I just want to say happy 8th anniversary to you, sweetheart. That I love you, and 8 more to go. 8 years is a long time. 8 years is a long time. But yeah, it's been a wonderful 8 years, and that's all I have for you today. And as always, I just want to make sure that you go to sherocoffee.com. Do not forget to go to sherocoffee.com and keep your heart full and your coffee strong. It's funny, I said yesterday, if you are watching me every day on YouTube, yesterday, if you go back and look at that Shiro Coffee Chat short, I said, keep your heart full and your coffee warm. But technically, I mean, that's not bad to keep your coffee warm and strong. At least that's how I like it. And shout out to Fort Knox today. Shout out to Fort Knox. Yes, I was assigned at Fort Knox. I love wearing shirts where I have some history at. So I'm always trying to look for great Army shirts. And I'm not using the new military bases. I'm looking for the old military bases. So if you know of a military base t-shirt or you make military base t-shirts, let me know. I would love to support small businesses. I absolutely love that. All right. I said, oh, there we go. I need more Shiro. I already said, keep your heart full and your coffee strong. That's all I got for you. Have a great week. I will see you tomorrow. Keep watching as I do my challenge that Andre challenged me to. It is day 19. Oh, no, it'll be day 20 of 60. All right. Bye.